236, but he's tighter. He's not as flabby, not as bouncy as he was in that Gonzalez fight. He's been working out. Still has a little layer of fat on him, though. Still needs to work a little bit harder to get that extra layer off.
And right off the top, let me ask you, would he have accepted a fight with Art Card with so much at stake if he thought Card could beat him?
No, not at all. Larry Holmes knows the story of boxing. He knows what he has to do. First of all, he'll get a good shot against a big-name fighter because he is the former heavyweight champion of the world. Any fighter on their way up would like to have a win over Larry Holmes.
Art Card?
And he understands that. He's very intelligent about his boxing career.
Card is out of Cleveland, and he thinks Larry's going to come out and go for the quick knockout.
Well, you know, that's the way Larry did against Gonzalez. Larry had hoped to have the power that George Foreman had, but this looks like a different Larry Holmes. Remember the first part of that Gonzalez fight, Larry stood toe-to-toe, but look at him in this first round. He's trying to set that jab. I wonder if he was listening to the blackboard.
And certainly the movement reminiscent of the old Larry Holmes. He still has a pretty good jab.
And this is when Larry was beautiful. That left jab, the movement. Most heavyweights don't do that.
Defended the championship 20 consecutive times, and only Joe Louis held the title longer than Holmes. Larry for 7.5 years, Louis for 12. Started his comeback in April, taking out Tim Anderson in the first round. Then he had to go the distance against Eddie Gonzalez, and Gonzalez is never a threat, but is a guy who has made a career out of making his opponents look bad. So what did Larry get out of a fight like the Gonzalez bout?
Well, he said that it told me I could go 10 rounds. He said I was busy, but it was like banging on a heavy bag because Gonzalez was just there to go the distance. You know, the fighters like Gonzalez are so horrible to fight because all they want to do is they want to go the distance. See, now Gonzalez will get on that fighter's circuit now. He'll go and get another fight against another heavyweight who's on his way up. If the other heavyweight can knock out Gonzalez, they can draw a comparison between this other heavyweight and Larry Holmes.
Art Card hasn't fought since February when he was knocked out by Harry Terrell in the 9th round. He's never gone 10 rounds. And he thinks this fight is the opportunity of a lifetime. Beat Larry Holmes and he'd be on the map. He says he's 28 years old, his record is 9-3, and it's time to gamble.
He says Larry is not the fighter he was as a champion. He said perhaps he's overlooking me in this fight because of the developments today. And he said that Larry is extremely slow. And Larry was slow in that fight with Gonzalez. But he has picked it up here in this first round.
Nearing the end of round 1. We're scheduled for 10. A shot at Tillman.
That is true. Marshall Tillman, who nobody knew a month ago, till he beat a young heavyweight by the name of Mighty Mike Evans. Tillman was originally supposed to fight Larry Holmes, but Larry declined to fight Tillman because of this Art Card fight. You talked about Bone Crusher Smith. Bone Crusher won his fight tonight in Detroit against Jeff Sims. That fight a little bit earlier. We just got word.
Crowd chanting for Holmes. That's something that we didn't hear much in his last fight against Eddie Gonzalez. The crowd was saying, Eddie, Eddie.
And that's something else that Larry wants to do. Now, everybody as a fighter needs exposure, unless it's not time to get that exposure. And in the Eddie Gonzalez fight, it was not particularly time for Larry Holmes to get the exposure, the 10 rounds. Now, you know, George Foreman didn't go 10 rounds until we saw him with Everett Bigfoot Martin. That was his 19th fight in his comeback bid. So he had time for the staleness to wear off. Oh, good right hand.
And the consensus is that Holmes picked Card, and even Art says this, because he wants a quick knockout.
He needs a knockout. Larry does. He needs to come back in spectacular fashion. And going 10 rounds in a boring fight does not do that. But, you know, he's fought harder, faster, quicker in these first 3 rounds, and I think all of the rounds that he fought with Gonzalez. Looks very good here in this second round. quick, snapping his shots.
What are the risks that Holmes would take if he tries to become a power puncher and doesn't use that jab?
Getting knocked out is one. You, as a puncher, a slugger, you have to commit. You have to move forward with your body. Thrust your body into your opponents along with your fists. And in doing that, you can run into a shot of your opponent. These are heavyweights. Anything can happen. You know, we talked a lot about Larry, but Art Card, if he could put some shots together, he'd catch Larry coming after him.
Art Card has put on some weight for this fight, normally around 205, 210, tried to get down to cruiserweight, but he found he didn't have any strength there. He's primarily a boxer, but he likes the left hook.
And there he threw the left hook.
And he works as a driver for the U.S. Postal Service.
Maybe he delivers cards.
Trying to deliver something on Larry Holmes here.
Well, he said his fight plan tonight was to watch out for that left jab, go under it and over it on Larry. We haven't seen much under and over from him.
Nearing the end of round 2 here on USA. Back at the Marriott Orlando World Center Resort and Convention Center, Larry Holmes and Art Card. And we've been joined now by Michael Marley. And Mike, taking a look at Holmes, he says that he's not going to spend as much time as George Foreman did, 3 years in his comeback. He wants to come back in a year and a half. Is he sharp enough to fight any of the top heavyweights?
I don't think so, and I think Larry knows better. If there's any business Larry Holmes knows, that's boxing. He's taken a slight step up in the grading of his opposition, a very slight step up, not a huge jump. Smoking Art Card is here because, as I'm sure you guys have mentioned, Marshall Tillman was first accepted by Larry Holmes, but then rejected after Larry checked him out a little bit. So this is a slight step up for Larry. He picks each opponent for a different reason, and it's a testing ground.
And what would be your grading card for Larry Holmes at this point?
Well, at this point,
still
Sean,
early.
Yeah, at this point, obviously Larry's, in my eyes, won the first 2 rounds. You know, he's jabbing. He seems sluggish, though, and I have to say this, unlike Eddie Gonzalez, who was just in there to last, Card has some, you know, defense to him and does throw an occasional punch.
You look at Holmes' eyes and you can't help but think he's just trying to find that one punch. I mean, he wants to win in a spectacular way. It doesn't do much good in a comeback to have decisions by your name against people that no one else has heard of.
No, that's true, Bill, but also conversely, I don't think Larry wants all quickie knockouts. He wants to go some rounds. There's no substitute, as Sean can tell you, for live boxing. Being in the gym is not the same, and ideally Larry would like to take this guy out, I think, in 5 or 6 rounds. That way he has a KO on the record, the comeback continues apace, and yet he's had a good workout. And he gets paid very nicely for this workout too.
And actually Art Card is much more active than Eddie Gonzalez was, certainly. And I don't know if he has Sean enough to hurt Larry Holmes, but he's certainly moving pretty well. I think this might be a little more of a test.
He's moving pretty well, like you say, and he's also trying in this fight. You know, all you got to do as a fighter is just get in there and give it your all, and that's what he's doing. Look at him throwing punches. He got hit with a right hand and came back with a hook of his own. Continues moving forward, and he's got some of the crowd behind him, too.
I think Larry shook him up with that right hand seconds ago.
Final seconds, round 3. Bill McAtee along with Sean O'Grady and Mike Marley here in Orlando at the Marriott World Center. Larry Holmes and Art Card, the 3rd round. Sean, what do you think about Larry's comments that if he had been fighting Evander Holyfield instead of George Foreman, that he would be the heavyweight champion?
Well, I think that's fantasy at this point. If he continues on his comeback and continues working like he is working here and continues building his career, patiently takes it one step at a time, I think he'll be successful in his comeback, but he's got to face the right kind of fighters. And he doesn't have, he should not get in a hurry. He's in a hurry, and that's where you look at the you don't see the traffic in front of you. You look the big guns down the road.
But the point's well taken, Bill and Sean, that Larry Holmes would love to fight Evander Holyfield, not only for the money, but for the major point that he knows, or he believes, that Evander Holyfield can't hurt him physically and doesn't have the punch that Mike Tyson obviously did when he just destroyed Larry Holmes in 4 rounds.
So true, but we all remember ourselves at our very best. We don't remember, that ourselves, the time has gone on since we've been our best. The two of them standing toe-to-toe. 4th round action, but digging the body is Larry Holmes. Hard card, he's winging back.
Again, Sean,
these body shots from Larry Holmes will add up.
Again, you talk about the difference in eras and ages. This is a flat-footed Larry Holmes just throwing bomb after bomb. Not the young Larry Holmes up on his toes, jabbing and moving beautifully.
True, but he was jabbing and moving beautifully earlier in this fight. Now it's come to a point where he's got to fight or go into something else.
He can't sustain it, not on those 41-year-old legs.
Hard Card trying to answer back. And a big uppercut, and Card is down. A huge uppercut from Larry Holmes, while Art Card was moving into the crotch.
And a very game Art Card. Nailed again with that right hand.
Art Card is gasping for air. He looks to be out of it.
That looked like a slip. And Holmes looking to finish it here at the end of the 4th round. Card just trying to hang on. Can he do it? He will.
That's defense.
Art Card some credit for hanging in there. Now, what does that say? Does that say that Art Card has a tremendous heart, which he may, or does it say that Larry Holmes' big bombs are lacking something?
It's a little bit of both. First of all, Larry Holmes has got a lot of power. Anybody that weighs 236 pounds does have a lot of power. So here is a look at Larry, first of all, knocking down Art Card with the right hand. Watch the right hook and then the right uppercut, one right after the other. Down goes Art Card. You can see that there's a lot of power, a lot of agony on the face of Art Card. But to get up from this knockdown, when he could have laid there, says a lot for Art Card. So it's a little bit of both.
Larry Holmes has to be wondering whether he should have stuck with Marshall Tillman. Perhaps Marshall Tillman will be on USA next week, wouldn't have gotten up.
Well, Larry's really at a disadvantage in this point. Every time he faces somebody, they're going to say, hey, if I could just do good in this fight, if I can go some rounds, I know I'll be back on that circuit. I'll know I'll fight again. All I have to do is just hang in there and give it my best. Plus, those haymakers can occasionally, happen. 1 in a million will land and take out your opponent. If he keeps throwing those haymakers, maybe he'll knock out Larry Holmes.
Art Card has never gone 10 rounds. You saw the stat on Holmes, 7.8 rounds a fight. And of course, he fought in the days when there were those 15-rounders.
This might be a good point to note, guys, that Riddick Bowe, who Larry Holmes would like to fight for a whole bunch of money, Riddick Bowe was able to dispatch Art Card in 3 rounds.
Very good point, Mike Marley. Art Card said that was the best fighter I faced. He said, Riddick Bowe is just a better boxer. He hit me with hooks. Right now, he's getting hit with hooks from Larry Holmes.
Holmes stepping back and trying to land a big shot. Art Card, hands up, trying to stay aggressive.
I don't believe this Larry Holmes performance will scare Riddick Bowe off from fighting Larry Holmes.
I really don't think it'll scare a lot of heavyweights, and of course the critics. You know, this is what somebody like a Larry Holmes does not need, the exposure. This is a case where a fighter gets on television too early in his career or his comeback.
Right hand by Art Card.
He's playing his trump cards.
You know, the public and the press can criticize Larry Holmes, but Larry's taking some modest paydays to the bank, and as long as he wins, that's all that really matters. Larry Holmes will keep rolling, and he'll get a decent money shot to see if he can go to another level.
There was the same combination, the right hook and then the right uppercut. This time, Card stays on his feet.
So true, Mike, and also, let's face it, he's 41 years old. He's given us a great show. He's throwing a lot of punches. He's working very hard. It takes a lot of guts to get up there and do that at his age, at any age.
Should Larry Holmes lose here or at any other point, he said time and time again, that's it, he'll quit.
Nearing the end of round number 5. We're scheduled for 10 here in Orlando. We're back, and Sean, you know, in the previous fight, there was a notable absence of movement from Holmes, and yet this fight, we've seen a little more of it.
Well, we saw a little bit more of it the first few rounds. In that third round, Larry stood toe-to-toe. He started trying to put his combinations together, but you look at Art Card, he has just weathered the storm. He's been hit, he's been hurt, he's been knocked down twice, and he's still trying.
Holmes 51 and 3.
What surprises me, Bill, the most really is you look at the flab around the midsection of Art Card, who's only 28 years old, not the most well-conditioned guy, but yet he was able to get up off the floor, and he's hanging in there with Larry Holmes.
Well, athletes normally mature about 28. That's when their physical, mental, and emotional life peaks at that age.
Maybe not when you're driving a mail truck in Cleveland, Ohio.
And Holmes working the jab and the uppercut. The Card answers back.
Another difference I noticed, Sean, is Larry doesn't slip punches. He doesn't move his head at all, and he's been hit by shots that he shouldn't be hit by.
Exactly, but the big difference is he is in there with a fighter who's not known as a big KO puncher. Only 4 KOs for Art in his 10 wins. What's going to happen when Larry gets hit by one of those heavy hitters, a Riddick Bowe?
Card's got a busted lip now. The lower lip looks like it's busted open pretty good.
That happened during the first knockdown 2 rounds ago. You heard the crowd a few minutes ago changing their chant from Larry, Larry to Art, Art. And really for a guy like Art Card, I mean, everything's on the line. This is his chance at the spotlight.
Well, if he goes down, Art Card will go down fighting. He's not pulling an Eddie Gonzalez, not just in here to go the limit. And at this point, I think Art Card already has a moral victory.
Good combination from Holmes there. Seconds left, under 30 seconds, the 6th round. Both fighters taking a breather. There has not been a lot of resting in this fight. Both men going at it. And if Larry Holmes wanted a workout, I think he got one tonight.
He got it tonight, the same kind of workout he got with Gonzalez. This should tell him that he can continue to go 10.
But Gonzalez threw about 5 punches the entire bout. And Art Card has done better than that. And let's listen in now to the corner of Larry Holmes.
How you feel, big guy? Oh, it's really wrong. This is what...
punches, just think about jumping on him. Then you relax, and then you jump on him again at the end of the round if it go that far.
Don Turner giving instructions to Larry. Here is the corner of Art Card. That's Jim Kelly.
He's reaching out for the
shot. There along with Mark Rivera.
And then you shoot the next shots. Double feints, and then you shoot the next punch. You hear what I'm saying?
Listen.
Come straight left hand, right hand, right over the top. Boom. Left hooks are open.
Get them elbows in.
Straight left and right hand over the top. Now, what they are trying to get Art to do now is go under and over. That's what he told me his fight plan was going to be. There is some good uppercuts from Larry Holmes. That's the same uppercut.
That's been his best punch tonight.
That's the same uppercut he landed in the third round that put Art on the canvas.
Meanwhile, you heard the instructions to Larry. Come out fast and then in fast. If you're going to take a break, take it in the middle.
Right, you come out the first part of the round and you set the pace for that round. You show your opponent who's in control, who's in command. And then you try to impress the judges the final 30 seconds.
What was painfully obvious in the Holmes corner is he looked like he needed an oxygen tank in there. I've never seen Larry Holmes gasping for air as he was. I mean, Larry is definitely low on the oxygen. Not that Art Card's gas tank is full at this point either, but
well,
he is 28 as compared to Larry Holmes, age 41.
Oh, good right hand by Larry, and for good reason. This has been a good pace fight. It's been busy.
And that right landed. Larry Holmes, who hasn't been on his toes in the last 2 rounds. And Art connects. Draws some cheers from the crowd.
And picking up a lot of fans. Many of them screaming, Art, Art, Art. Good right hand by Art. That's the over he was wanting to throw in this. Now let's see if he can put some of those overs in with some unders. Go over the top and underneath those elbows. There are the unders from Art Card. But he's going to have to get busy. I've got him way behind.
Certainly no picnic, as was Larry's last fight, which was not on television. August 24th, he steamrolled Michael Greer in 4 rounds, and that's what he and his corner were looking for tonight, a 4 or 5 round KO, but it hasn't been in the cards.
You two are quite the punsters tonight. Let me add one. Thus far, Art has been no joker. 40 seconds left. And now we'll stop that.
Yeah. Bill picking up on that pun. Whoa.
The postman is only floored twice.
Actually, I think you're right. Art Card has picked up a few fans tonight. This is his moment in the sun. And meanwhile, a moment of frustration, I think, for Larry Holmes.
And right at the end of the bell, or the round, he's trying to pick it up. Seventh round action. Larry Holmes is trying to pick it up, moving forward, but you got to be careful because you can easily run into something. Boom. The left hook from Art Card that knocked Holmes off balance. What you want to do is send your opponent back to his corner with the impression of your fist on his face. Just what Art Card did at the end of that last round.
And Holmes up on the toes now to start round 8.
I think we should also keep in mind that Art Card is a journeyman fighter, Bill, who has been beaten by 43-year-old Harry Terrell. And Harry Terrell was never a world champion or a high-level heavyweight contender. So this is an inspired performance by Art Card.
Fighting a world champion always raises you to another level of boxing. Suddenly you get more confidence in yourself. And our Card certainly has more confidence than he's had in the past tonight. It's easier to fight the boxers that are real good anyway.
That was a slip.
Just as I'm saying that, down he goes. But it's easier to fight those kind of fighters because they know how to get hit. They know how to take your shots. And you know what they're going to do.
Earlier in the round, Card almost slipped and fell over in Holmes' corner. I wonder if he's got water or tape or something on the bottom of his shoes now.
Well, in the lower right hand of the corner,
the apron is soaked.
You can see it's soaked over there. They're pouring water on him after each round. Losing those fluids, they want to try to put that back in through those pores.
I think the surprising thing about this round thus far is that Card is the one moving forward, at least for the first part of the round, and Holmes is moving backwards.
Well, this is what he wanted to do in the later rounds, pick it up.
Card felt that if he could get to the later rounds, he'd have a shot. As he said, Holmes was going to go big for the knockout early, and he has survived.
Well, Holmes has been effective going to the trying to knock his opponent out, going to the head. Hadn't been able to knock him out, but he's forgotten about the body. We talked about the roll around the midsection of our Card. We've seen very few body shots from Larry Holmes. Not an effective attack down there.
Neither one of these guys could do a poster for Slim Fast, that's the truth. 10 seconds remaining in round number 8. And it looks like we'll have at least 9 rounds. We're scheduled for 10. I was saying a moment ago, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty impressed with at least the determination of our Card. And I wonder what Larry Holmes is thinking right now about the comeback. If he's having this much trouble with a guy like Art.
He may be thinking differently, but I would almost guarantee that he will say, I'm really proud of my performance. I showed that I can go 10 with anybody. I know he will be positive about the fight after it's over with, provided we get a chance to talk to him.
You know, Sean, I wouldn't be shocked to see Larry Holmes say in the ring to you or after this fight, I quit, I don't have it. I would be surprised but not shocked, but I think you're right. I think his stubborn pride will keep Larry Holmes going. The only thing that'll stop him is getting knocked down, knocked out, or losing a decision. And again, this is no heavyweight classic, but it is a competitive fight. And Larry's first 3 comeback fights were not competitive.
Right, it's not a bad fight. Card could get busier, Card could throw more punches, but Larry has been extremely busy. And he's gotten hit more in this fight than he did with Eddie Gonzalez. Gonzalez hung tough for 10, but that's about all he did.
Our Card has never been more than 9 rounds. Knocked out in the 9th round in his last fight by Harry Terrell. If he survives the next minute and a half, then he will have accomplished something.
Sean, you mentioned how many shots Larry has taken, and really direct hard shots from Card. I have to wonder, at the age of 41, a relatively advanced age for boxing, how Larry Holmes will absorb those punches. I mean, you know, I'm not a neurologist, but it's got to be a very dangerous thing at that age.
Well,
at any age.
You know, the first thing that you lose, Mike, is your speed when you're a fighter. When you can't get out of the way of those punches, you just sit there and get hit with them. And that's where it's really going to do the damage. You know, he can't move out of the way of the punches. He was so good in the past, pulling just a little bit to take the power away from the punch. He can't do that now. The first thing that fighters say when they get old is, I could see the punches coming, but I couldn't get out of the way of it. That's what he's experiencing here.
It's a flashback to Muhammad Ali when that happened to Ali as well. Larry desperately wants that KO on his record.
Oh, and there's the uppercut finally.
Well, less than 15 seconds remaining in the 9th round. Look at that. Art with a wave. And you know, when we talked to Art Card yesterday, he was very quiet. It seemed that he was almost in awe of Larry Holmes. And I'll tell you, that moment right there, I think all the awe went away. And what do you look for from Holmes here? All out, try for the knockout?
I think it's the same thing. We've seen him, you know, trying for the knockout all along. He wanted a knockout in this fight. He's surprised to be fighting this late, but he doesn't want to lose his concentration. He doesn't want to lose his focus. Got to touch gloves.
There you see the respect Art Card has for Larry Holmes. But should Art Card get lucky, and I think it will take some luck, we could be looking at the final chapter in the glorious career of Larry Holmes.
Well, you're not suggesting that Art is close on points.
Oh, no. I'm saying lucky with a Sunday punch, because he certainly has not found Larry a hard target. Now, way behind. I've got him losing nearly every round.
Who?
Card. Card is behind on the cards. Don't get me started.
His cards are face down, aren't they?
And stop this. This is reminiscent of the Eddie Gonzalez fight, in that Gonzalez actually put his chin out and waved Larry to take a shot. Larry firing away with the uppercut again.
And that is a weapon that he should use more. We saw him knock down Card in the 3rd round with that uppercut. He used it again in the 7th, but that's all we've seen of it.
And don't forget, this is the opponent that Larry Holmes selected.
Less than a minute and a half remaining in the fight. And if he survives, certainly a moral victory for Art Card.
He's going to be the most popular mail truck driver in Ohio, that's for sure. And he should be proud, because unlike Eddie Gonzalez, he came here, fought, he tried to win. He's not content just to go the limit. Very game effort by an underdog journeyman, Art Card.
Very game effort. He has taken Larry Holmes' best shot and hung right in there, hung tough. It's all you can ask of a fighter.
Holmes is waiting, trying to throw that uppercut again.
And look at the movement from Art Card. He knows that the round is coming down, this fight's coming down to an end.
30 seconds remaining.
Holmes still gunning for that knockout, but doesn't look like he'll get it.
You said that speed is one of the first things to go for a fighter. George Foreman lasted because he had the power. And flailing away. And that is it. Art Card, the mailman from Cleveland, shows himself proud tonight against the former heavyweight champion, Larry Holmes.
Good fight.
And I guess, guys, there's no doubt that the decision will go to Larry Holmes, but again, he can't be encouraged by this.
No, but he knows the business, the fight game. He knows he's going to get a good shot. He just has to get some wins under his belt. Now, I would imagine if we hear from him, and when we do, we are going to talk to Larry. He's going to say, you know, I'm really happy with my performance. I was quicker tonight. I was stronger. I hit him some good shots. But that man, Art Card, just hung in there. He was difficult to take out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Frank Skilbred scores it 190. Judge Dan Racevich scores it 188. Judge Tony Palermo scores it 98-90. All to the winner, the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes.